Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Stories for Hope podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and in today's episode, we're going to hear from Tom Eggum about some of the failures our ministry has had over the years and lessons we've learned along the way. For those of you who are new, Stories for Hope is a podcast run by Hope for Kids International. On this podcast, we share inspirational stories to inspire you to bring hope to those in need. Now, this story is a little different than ones we've done before because we're talking about mistakes we've made and lessons we've learned. But my hope is that this episode will inspire you to evaluate your own methods of helping others. Am I helping or am I actually hurting the people around me? Let's jump right in and hear from Tom.
I like to be real, and oftentimes in my speaking, I'll tell these stories just so people don't think, we've had a success since the beginning. Uh, we've learned a lot of lessons along the way. We've made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I'll start with this of saying, when we bring our American knowledge to a international place, we think we know how to fix their problems. We think we know what's best for them. And in a lot of ways, that's arrogance. And we've done that a lot. We've done it a lot. We've come in, we've seen the struggles and said, this is what you need. And people in general are so polite that they won't argue with you. And you say, is this a good thing? And they'll say, yes. So the biggest lesson I've learned is don't bring our Western ideas around the world and think that's the answer to their problems, because usually there's a reason it's not working. Um, what we learned the hard way was, I'm not going to tell you what you need, you tell me. And what do you think is the solution? What could improve your life? What would help the life of the children in this area? What would be a project you would want to be a part of, or you would do if you had the money, or whatever? Um, that's where we gain wisdom. I'll just give you a little example. We had the idea. Um, solar, solar is, where we are in Uganda. It's generally very sunny. Solar oven would be a great thing to do. It was simple. Uh, some brought some. You unfolded it and you said, look, this is how you can do this. And we came up with the idea, um, you can take it to the market and cook things right there and sell it. Um, and demonstrated it. To us, it looked like a brilliant idea. Never asking we actually handed them out to some widows, never asking them, what do you want to do? Now we made them, you're going to cook, you're going to do this, and you're going to sell it in the market. And we thought, oh, this is really going to work. And we came back later, a number of months later, and we asked this one lady in particular, how's that going? And she was kind of quiet. And I don't know if she showed us or we noticed it was still in the box under her bed. And she finally said, that's not what I wanted to do. Plus, what I've learned, and we also introduced a brick oven type thing that would be less smoke. And we did it down in Chile, and it worked great there because they didn't have any other way to do it. They lived in the sand. And we took like 12 bricks and we made this little thing. We took tin cans, we cut the bottoms out, made a smokestack, and a little fireplace down below, and a little bit of wood, heated that thing up. And we just took little pieces of iron rod that you could find in a dump or whatever and made them stoves. And for the most of these were single moms living in little squares of shelters in Chile. It was perfect because they didn't have another way of doing it. And they had moved from their homes, and now here it was. So it worked out really well. So I had the great idea, well, we'll teach the Ugandans how to do this. And we did. And it seemed like it was a great idea. And again, we should have asked, who's interested in this? but we chose who should be. And for the most part, after a few weeks, they stopped because they always cooked over the open charcoal. Now, to me, it makes sense. Less charcoal, less pollution, less uh, wood that's got to be harvested for the charcoal. You're not going to be breathing all this, a lot of lung disease. It's going to go up the chimney. It's very efficient. For some people, it was a good idea. And we've actually done it on a grander scale now when we build a kitchen for a school. It's the same concept and it's bigger, and that works great. But for the individuals we chose, that's not what they wanted to do. They'd always done it this way. So, one of the lessons I learned from that was there's always people that are willing to try something new. And I think we have to introduce new ways. I'm not saying you just keep everybody the way they've always done it, because there's a lot of benefits that can help them come to another level because they do this. But the mistake was we didn't ask who's interested in this, because then they get buy-in. See, that's a big part of all these projects. You got to have buy-in. It was my idea. I volunteered. That's something I want to do. So that's a key. And we've learned that the hard way. But I think the more we've learned that and the more we've asked that question and listened to the local people, um, uh, why would this work or why doesn't it work? There's a great TED story that I've told a number of times of a group like us. They were actually Italians that came into this place in Africa, and they saw the river and they saw this soil that was so incredible, and they said, why don't you plant tomatoes there? So they planted tomatoes. Well, they were growing, they were red, they were all this, and all of a sudden, one night, all the hippos came out of the river and ate them all. And they said, well, that's, why didn't you tell us? Well, you told us that's what you're going to do, and we wanted you to see it for yourself. That's why we don't plant tomatoes by the river, So we use that example in saying every project we do, we say, is this what they truly need? When people ask about, like, the biggest project you ever did that really turned out to be a failure, there's a couple of them. One is that we did chicken projects, which sounds right, and I'll say that so often, if you get a farmer or somebody that has a knowledge of chickens that wants to do a small project, that's manageable. It's when you get to the level of saying, let's do 1,000 chickens, and the amount of feed it takes to keep them going, the amount of energy it keeps, to go, all the building structures and everything. And so we did some of these, and it looked good at the beginning, but then after a while, a disease would come in and wipe all your chickens out. So it was a lot at risk. Or what we often saw, we did fish ponds, and we calculated it. This is how much the fish are. We visited a government fish place, which was very productive, but we didn't see, but how tightly the security was and all the measures they were taking. So we said, yeah, we bought in big time. We had 50,000 fish in one pond. We had like 5 ponds. It was huge. And the money it was a money pit. We need netting around the side for the critters that are coming in to get them. We need netting on the top because the birds are getting them. And we need security. We need this. We need that. And so pretty soon it became this uh, huge uh, money pit. And then we give money to go buy feed. Well, the feed became expensive. So they're thinking, we'll just feed them less. So they fed them less and then took a little money off the side, and the fish ate themselves. They were hungry, so they ate all the little ones. Well, then you get a security guard, and he's got a business. People walking by, he sells them fish. So, when it came harvest time, we go, where are our fish? They were gone. So that's one of those projects that we invested a lot of money in. It had great potential, but if we'd had the local knowledge and the wisdom to say, is this How do we make this successful? How does the government do it over there? Well, they've got security fences around, they've got monitored, and there's, it's a whole different story. So that's one of those projects that kind of collapsed.
Thank you, Tom. This is something we are constantly working on at Hope for Kids, and also something that we like to prepare our team members for. A big focus for us has been on building relationships. Relationship building helps you better understand a person or group of people. And as Tom says, we learn so much by spending time with communities, understanding how they function, what needs they have, what dreams and goals they have. Is your helping actually hurting? Do you know and understand the needs of the person, or are you focused on telling them what you think is best? How can you focus on building a relationship to better understand a person or group of people? There's a great video series we recommend to our travelers called Helping Without Hurting, and it's based on a book called When Helping Hurts. Both the book and the video series are extremely helpful, and I encourage you to check them out. If anything you heard today inspired you, maybe you'd like to help others and you're looking for a way to do so, or maybe you're just looking for somewhere to start, we'd love to hear from you. You can get connected with us by going to h4ki.org. Thanks again for joining us as we continue to share inspiring stories. Have a blessed day, everyone.